Hello everyone! Welcome back to this game! When we last left off, we have rescued Thurlum from Princess Elandra and are about ready to take on Thurlum. But before we do, I just remembered something. So during this adventure, there were a couple of points where I was concerned when receiving an item during a cutscene that I would not be given the opportunity to keep that item if my inventory was full. And I wasn't quite sure if that was an actual concern or if I was misremembering. Well, I just remembered, yes, that is an actual concern, and I know exactly how it is a concern. So, whenever you obtain an item, you have a couple of options. Option 1 is to give it to a party member, which would result in the item being given to the first party member with an open slot in their inventory. Or you could give it to a specific party member. So what I have done is I am giving a Bubba Juice to any party member with an open slot, and I am also giving a Diet Ale specifically to Kristana. And I'm going to have a character named Will Treant give us these items. And I have placed him in the Wizard's Tower. So let's see how this plays out. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. At the moment, nobody on my team has any Diet Ales. Jareth has a Bubba Juice right now, so I'll go ahead and remove that to avoid any confusion when I receive a Bubba Juice. And in fact, I'll also toss the Bruffa Elixir. That way he'll have 2 inventory slots open, and we are of course going to be receiving 2 items. Hypothetically. And by the way, yeah, it turns out that treants are actually available to use outside of combat. Though I think this is actually a different model than the ones used in combat. Also, I just noticed something that I had never noticed before. There is a little birdie sitting on the treant's shoulder. That is actually kind of cute. That, on the other hand, is the stuff of nightmares. FYI, treants actually have 6 or 7 possible character portraits, so I could have done any other character portrait than this one, but I had to show that off. Anyway, we are now receiving the Bubba Juice and Ale, but we're only getting a prompt for the Bubba Juice. And then going into my inventory, Kristana was supposed to receive the Diet Ale, but has not received it. And Jareth has received the Bubba Juice, but not the Ale. And just to demonstrate what is supposed to happen, I'm gonna go ahead and toss the Bruffa Elixir to give Kristana some room for the Diet Ale. There's the Bubba Juice. Still no prompt for the Diet Ale, but we did in fact receive it this time. And likewise, Jareth has received a second Bubba Juice. Curiously, despite the fact that I had the coding give the Bubba Juice first, Kristana was not given the Bubba Juice in front of the Diet Ale. So at least there's that. Still though, it is recommended never, ever, ever to give an item to a specific party member. Because if that party member's inventory is full, you just don't get the item. And I am glad that I remembered that before we closed out this series. Now then, we are at Wizard's Tower because I got some buko coins to buy the last couple of items in the vending machine. So let me go ahead and insert my 5 buko coins. And, I completely forgot I still had 1 buko coin left over from my first visit to Wizard's Tower. So now I have a total of 6. And first we are going to buy the Mystic Gum, which costs 2 of these buko coins. I don't think I need the Diet Ale. Although, yeah, go ahead and toss the Diet Ale. And along with that, I am going to go ahead and get the Dragon Repellent, which I do not remember what that is. Is that a usable item? Here, get rid of that extra Bubba Juice. Alright, first things first, we already found out earlier what the Mystic Gum is. It is a magic defense up item, usable 5 times. Though, I'm not sure I necessarily need that now. More importantly, the Dragon Repellent. A can of Dragon Repellent. It is an attack item. I assume stone means using the stone animation. Power of 40, usable 3 times, and of course, strong versus dragons. So, I might actually want to give this to someone who isn't going to be hitting on as hard on the team. Who would that be, I wonder? Well, all of us basically have the same magic attack, so I guess it doesn't necessarily matter. Yeah, I'll go ahead and let Jareth keep it. He gets the first turn, so we can hit hard on the first turn. And from here, let us make our way back to Lekunder. And by the way, I stayed at the inn in between episodes. These Phoenix Rings are handy, but I don't know that I want to go into the final battle, starting at low health. By the way, just as a reminder, there was thankfully no point in this game where I missed out on an item because it was being given to a specific party member. You got the crystals back? That's great! Maybe now King Randolph will pull me off guard duty. Well, someone's already anxious to leave guard duty, I can tell you that. You got all the crystals back? That's great! The King Randolph had better take me off guard duty, and the sooner the better. Did you just hip thrust at me? So before we take on Thurlum, we are of course going to see how everyone in town is doing. Well, I've made up my mind. Thieving is definitely not for me. I'm gonna take up pit fighting instead. What do you think? You look like you would be good at it. Into the Emporium to say hello to Dawn, who has definitely helped Delrath make some friends. I got a tasty pizza bagel from Delrath's bagel shop. Looks like his business is doing good. I wish that old Coot the best. He's a charming monster. And you are a nice lady. I'm glad the town has someone like you in it. Get rid of any sort of stress when it comes to monster interactions. We could use more open-minded folk in the world. I went with Dawn and Elsie to the Manticore's bagel shop. He's pretty nice for a monster, and he serves up some great cinnamon swirl bagels. Those do sound delicious. Though I'm not sure. Would the bagel overpower the cinnamon swirl? Dawn talked me into going with her to that monster's bagel shop. What was I thinking? Must have been out of my mind. He's a scary looking sort, but he sure does serve up some fine bagels. Ooh, can we actually return the elemental crystals right now? You got all 4 crystals? Wow, that's great news! The whole of Elysia is in your debt. Quick, put them on their pedestals. Indeed we can. There's that one. There's that one. That one. We did it! I feel like this is optional. I don't know that we actually need to do that before talking to Thurlum. It's nice to have the crystals back. Once more, we're safe from monsters. Next up into Lekunder's tavern. I had to deliver some ale and 5 pizzas to King Randolph. I met Thurlum. He's not what I expected from a ferocious dragon. He seems pretty nice, although a bit strange at times. I would agree with one of those. But that first thing would be questioned if you brought up the subject of hippies. Okay, so out of curiosity, do we still have fortunes to be told even though we don't have any more dungeons to go to? Hi, Kristana. Would you like to see the future? Sure. Peers into her crystal ball. Go to King Randolph's house and confront Thurlum. All will be well after you defeat him. By the way, did you find all 10 Buku coins? Well, there you go. There are definitely 10 of them. Nice of the game to actually specify that, by the way. Alright, last stop is Kristana's house. Does the journal still say to visit Submerge? Place the elemental crystals on their pedestals in the treasury. Confront Thurlum at Dad's house. Well, now I'm kind of curious. Are we actually required to place the pedestals before we... or place the elemental crystals before we face off against Thurlum? Well, let me go ahead and save state and reload. And we'll find out. I created a save state just in case placing the elemental crystals is required. And then I can just load state to after I put them on. Well, so far, we are able to trigger this cutscene regardless. King Randolph is reading Thurlum's ransom note. PSS, don't send someone to raid my cave and take all of my treasure while I'm away. That would make me very upset. In our defense, we hadn't read that part yet. I don't even know where your cave is. Good, says Thurlum satisfactorily. Not that I'd be interested in stealing your stuff. It's your stuff after all. I generally don't go around robbing folks. I'm not a thief. In our defense, we do have a thief on our team. That's good to know, says Thurlum with a nod. Moving along. PSS. And finally, don't start up an underground movement and plot to overthrow me after I'm ruler of Lekunder. I hate it when that kind of thing happens. Ah, that's the last one. That sure was a long note. Well, I guess the only thing left to do is hand over my kingdom. Not if I have anything to say about it. Oh, we got ourselves the boss room theme. Boss cutscene theme? Whatever, it's about boss time. Final boss time, in fact. Oh, really? Says Thurlum with an amused look. And what might you have to say? We rescued Elandra. Well, if you could call it that. She's on her way home right now. How do we beat her? What? Exclaims the dragon in surprise. That's inconceivable! Raylan gave her up without a fight. Inconceivable! Exclaims Thurlum. He also says that the next time you want to conquer a kingdom, you'll have to do it yourself. He won't help you anymore. Thurlum growls very unpleasantly. We also got back the elemental crystals, grins. But I technically haven't put them back on the pedestals yet. Inconceivable! Exclaims Thurlum. Conceivable. They're in the treasury. You can look for yourself. Okay. Apparently no. You are not required to put the crystals on the pedestals, but you were expected to. How did you do that? Asked Thurlum in amazement. Where's this cool like that? Grins. Thurlum growls. Looks like I'm gonna have to flex some muscle and show you jerks who's boss around here. Well, yeah, you are the final boss. Bring it on, Thurlum. Thurlum growls menacingly, standing up, spreading his wings, and clenching his claws. And cue Fibs trying to run away, grins. Growls. I'm not going anywhere. I am very pissed off. I've had it. Blinks. Thurlum blinks in surprise. Takes a step toward the dragon. That's right. I've had it. I had to fight scary goblins and oozes, and evil mantises tossing ice daggers at me and freezing me with glaciers, and spooky caves full of all kinds of monsters. And I had to brave a spooky castle full of zombies and traps. Don't get me started about your buddy Shalom, who froze me with his icy breath. And I had to go up against horrific krakens and trolls. And all the while, I had to put up with him making fun of me. Points at Jareth. And it's all your fault. Well, I've had it. It's Smackdown time. Well, fine, says Thurlum. Prepare to meet your doom. He takes up a battle pose and roars. Hold on. Let's take this outside. I don't want to make a mess in Dad's living room. Oh, says Thurlum. Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll be right back, Dad. Please try not to mess up the kiosk out on the street. Alright, final boss time. And we're having the same battle music as, well, for one thing, whenever we were approaching a boss, but also the music that plays during the battle tent, training tent, whatever tent it is. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. Dragon repellent. Is that a stick of dynamite? That looks painful. Glaza. I guess you can just use ice. Yeah, the dragon repellent is definitely a good thing to have. Ooh! So, at the end of the last episode, Kristana got a fancy stick. It's all glowy. Alright, I could use a turn to... Yeah, you know what? I will. Let's go ahead and use the bag of Munchos. No, no. I should have given these two items to someone else, it occurs to me. Because if I use them, Kristana is wasting a turn with that cool new weapon. Well, let's go ahead and give the Mystic Gum to Jareth anyway. He starts with the lowest health. That also looks like a stick of dynamite. Oh, I get it. Stick of gum, stick of dynamite. While we're at it... I want to find out... Wait, no, not you! Oh, I clicked the wrong person. Dang it, Fibs! You are such a red target. Well, more dragon repellent. I just noticed that Thurlum has a clawed tail. He could, like, probably grab things with it. However, I'm not wasting another turn with Kristana. Go ahead and attack. That is some good damage. Alright, Fibs, cast this on who I wanted to cast it on. Because I'm kind of curious. Okay, well, apparently... For as brave as Fibs has become, Thurlum has decided to answer that bravery. Anyway, does buffing magic attack also buff the power of the dragon repellent? The 5-point buffs are hardly worth anything at this point in the game. I might have also probably should have put Jareth in the front row, just in case he runs out of MP. Well, maybe not, though. Maybe I won't actually have to worry about that. Because he did use the first few turns using a powerful item, so he hasn't actually used any MP yet. A delayed reaction. Also, it seems like this game just straight up does not have any AoE attacks. Kind of a bit of a shame. That would certainly keep me on my toes. As it is, I might be able to get through this fight without actually needing to heal anybody. Here's what I'm gonna do next. Light Omen on Kristana. Buff her attack. It's only by 5 points, but her attack is going to be boosted with the strength against dragons, so maybe that buff will become stronger as a result. I want you to defend because I kind of want to actually find out. Also, if Kristana gets the final blow against Thurlum, that'll be appropriate. I don't think the buff did much. Anyway, we win. Our skills have improved. Really? Are we just keeping the status quo? Because I'm pretty sure there's no more game left after this. But FYI, everyone has gained 10 HP and 10 MP. This is inconceivable! Exclaims Thurlum. I was supposed to beat you guys up! This is the first time I've ever lost a battle. That's surprising. I didn't think you were all that tough, smirks. He really wasn't. I am a little disappointed in this case. The final bosses should be exciting. Gives Jareth a look. It's over, Thurlum. You won't be ruling this kingdom. Crud! Exclaims the dragon. I really wanted to be supreme ruler of a kingdom full of wimps. It was my dream. He lowers his head in defeat. Why do you have to be such a meanie, Thurlum? I don't know, says Thurlum with a shrug. It's in my blood, I guess. I'm an evil tough guy, and evil tough guys need to rule over wimps. Maybe there's a kingdom somewhere else that you can conquer. Arvindale cough. Arvindale and Caramond were on my list of kingdoms to conquer after I had rulership of Lekunder, says Thurlum. I decided to start out south and work my way north. See, there are plenty of other kingdoms you could rule. You could even start your own kingdom in the Dragonlands, with those unruly monsters into shape. I never thought of that, says Thurlum. He mulls it over for a moment. I suppose it's not that bad of an idea. It could work. Well, I guess I'll leave you in peace and go back to my cave. Yeah, hopefully you mull over it so much you don't notice that your cave is kind of empty right now. King Randolph steps outside, covering his eyes with his hands. What's happening? I can't bear to look. Is blood spraying all over the place, and severed limbs flying, and mass property damage, and total chaos? Oh, gosh dang it. Thanks for the mental image. Now I gotta set this playthrough to mature. It's over, Dad. We won. Oh. Uncovers his eyes. Well, I guess that means Lekunder is saved. Thurlum nods. I'm gonna miss this town. I sure did have a great time hanging out with you. Thurlum, I have a proposal for you. I like you, and you seem to have a good head on your shoulders. Long serpentine neck. So, how would you like to be my special advisor? Thurlum blinks in surprise. Really? I'd still be king. As my special advisor, you'd play an important role in all decision-making matters. I'm not sure that's a good idea. I could even delegate some authority to you, which would be good for me. I get tired of shouldering all the responsibility all the time. You should give some of that responsibility to Princess Elandra. She could use some humility and that sort of thing. Dad? Are you serious? We just kicked his tail after we rescued Elandra and got back the crystals. And now you're offering him a job? Kristana, I appreciate everything you've done to save our kingdom. You've saved us all. But Thurlum has become a good friend to me, and I'd just hate to see him go. Mouth is agape. There go yet more precious IQ points. Thurlum steps over to King Randolph and extends a claw in a friendly gesture. I am happy to accept your offer. Grasp Thurlum's claw in a hand/claw shake. Great! Let's go back inside and work out the details. Hey, how does he fit through the door? As my first act as your special advisor, says Thurlum, I suggest we raise an army and march on Caramend. Blinks. Why would we do that? Because Lord Duffery is a snob, answers Thurlum. He also insulted me. Wait, is Lord Duffery still alive? Oh wait, no. Wait. Which lord was it that was rolling over Titotham Palace? I thought it was Duffery. Oh yeah. Sorry, I forgot. Well, let's talk about it. King Randolph and Thurlum enter Randolph's house. And life in Lekunder just got a whole lot crazier. You said it, Fibs. Yikes. I think I'm gonna move in with Smurge. Smurge? I think it's a great idea. Just look at what we've accomplished here. We're now at peace with the dragons, and we won't have to worry about them attacking again. Well, yeah, you're right. We befriended the rest of the dragons, and Randolph became buds with Thurlum. It all worked out for the best. This could be the beginning of a new age of peace between Valencia and the Dragonlands. Phew! I finally made it! That dragon cave was like a maze. So, did anyone miss me while I was gone? Not really, no. Frowns. Humph! I'm going inside where I'll be appreciated. Calls out. Dad, I'm home! Get the tea and crumpets ready. Elandra enters Randolph's house. Eek! There's a big ugly dragon in here! I don't think Thurlum's gonna appreciate that. And that was Raiders of Lekunder. Oh, these characters actually have last names. Kristana King, that makes sense. Lisa Bow, Fibs Delthor, and Jareth Diggins, who certainly took a dig at Fibs a lot. And of course the dragons and Delrath. Smurge, Iggy, Ish, Randolph King, Elandra King, Daktar, Lena? Daktar is the person who would make potions for us? Yeah. Wortham Roth is the treasure guy. Triska Knapp is the fortune teller. Don Finwick is my favorite NPC. Luke Haspers. I think Luke was in the treasury. Borum Durkin. Forget who that was. Judge Gremph? Elsie Muggins? I kinda like that name. Kim Anders, Flair Beltis, Higgins Nairwood, who it turns out was an actual character, even if only briefly. Teroth Quiverin, Rain Brio, Seth Milnor, Brels Basha. A lot of apostrophe names. Wefko's Green is the thief who's not going to be a thief. Cepho Wright, Risetti Beretti, Zuli Beruth, can't remember who that is. Shaba Waters, Hobbs, who is Kristana's dog, and I double checked, Hobbs only has one interaction. Draken Shazar, Nindor, Lord of the Pits. And Nindor, Lord of the Pits. Original game and special edition created and designed by Andy L. Thomas. Thanks go out to Jules, Shrek's Lady, The Karn, O'Bright Wavelength. Oh gosh, these are some nostalgic names here. Viridian Edge, Mech version 12 Sita, Crystal Mage Boy, Crate. And a special thanks to God and Jesus Christ, who provided guidance, ideas, and unwavering support for this project. Original game copyright 2006. Wow. So this was released a while ago. The special edition was 2011. And BD Dubs, the special edition was made because the original game was, and I quote, almost unplayable. Basically, the game creator put so much effort into the story and characters in this game that the gameplay took a back seat. It kind of makes me wonder, is the special edition what the game's creator wanted this game to be? Or could it only be improved so much? He did eventually release another game called Warriors of Altos, and his intent with that one was to focus on the gameplay. Sadly, that game doesn't appear to be online anywhere anymore, so I couldn't tell you how it compares to this game. As for what I think about the special edition, I'll go over that in just a bit. Oh, and we got post-credits scene. Arilum, Shalom, and Elilum are in the treasury, admiring the elemental crystals. Those are, like, some totally awesome magic gems, says Arilum. They sure are, dude, says Shalom. You know what we should do, says Arilum. We should, like, put some guards here so no one can steal them again. Dude, that's an awesome idea, says Shalom. Elilum blinks. We're the ones who stole them in the first place. I know that, dude, says Arilum with the roll of his reptilian eyes. I was, like, there, remember? Elilum growls. Okay, whatever. I think we should put up signs. Do not steal the magic crystals. If you do, we will find you and rip you to shreds. Elilum does like his signs. Hey, that's like a totally rad idea, dude, says Shalom. We should do that too. And there we go. As I said, that is the end of Raiders of Lekunder SE. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and give my final thoughts, and speaking of credits, I'll go ahead and give my final thoughts during RPG Maker 3's own credits. So, let's get this out of the way. The reason I revisited this game is because I accidentally chose the harder difficulty during my first playthrough, and that was draining. So, now that I played on easy mode, did I enjoy the battles more? Yes, most definitely. While the encounters in each dungeon did seem a bit formulaic, and it would have been nice if the bosses were more exciting, I generally had a much better time playing this game. And I hope I was able to present this game in a better light this time, because it's really not a bad game. Like, the story? The story is one thing that I've always enjoyed about it. It is silly, and the characters are memorable. Like, I really like how you didn't kill off any of the bosses, and in fact, the fact we made friends with an orc and a manticore and several dragons is really cool. Now, there is one interesting quirk with the dialogue that needs mentioning, and that is how human characters emote their actions, while monsters had their actions narrated like in a story. I'm assuming that is because human characters had their dialogue boxes pointing at their character portraits, and it would have been weird to have the human characters narrate their own actions. And meanwhile, the monster characters don't have character portraits available, and so they used background images instead, and you cannot have dialogue boxes point at the background. So the monsters kind of needed to be narrated, so you knew it was the monster talking. That said, I kind of wonder if it would have been better if all the characters were narrated for consistency. The human characters could have just not had the message boxes pointing at them. That's not really a major issue, though. Wasn't too distracting, I don't think. It's just kind of an interesting quirk. Anyway, on a more positive note, the world map is really made. Good job with that, especially considering how difficult the map editor is to work with. Also, during my original playthrough, I did not give enough credit to dungeon decorations. At the time, my cynical mind was kind of stuck on how empty the elemental caves were, but the dungeons actually had plenty of scenery and plenty of interactives, and it was kind of fun finding all the unique treasures in the game. And I think that is everything that I can think of. So, like I said, this is definitely a good game, and I am glad that I revisited it. Now then, there is the matter of my next playthrough. Next, I am going to be playing Super Mario Bros. Wonder. It'll be my first time playing, and I will be playing as Yoshi. And in fact, I have a poll on my channel letting y'all decide what color Yoshi I will be. So definitely vote for a color if you haven't already. Now, admittedly, Super Mario is a very different type of game from RPG Maker, so if Super Mario doesn't interest you, I would like to instead invite you to check out some of my other playthroughs. I have done over 150 of them so far, including 67 other RPG Maker playthroughs. And in fact, if you would like a recommendation, check out Heroines of Swords and Spells. It's another silly RPG with memorable characters. And It's also not a very easy game, I tell you what. Oh boy. Anyway, with that said, whether you decide to watch that or Mario Wonder, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Oink!